Welcome to Capital Behind the Scenes. In this series, we aim to shed some light and give you some insight into the significant people, places, companies, and everything else in between that make up the fishing industry. Now, in episode 1, we're at the ever popular RH Fisheries complex in Shropshire. We're going to take a look into their unique fishery management, have a look at their bait making on-site facility with RH baits, and take a little look at some of the somewhat controversial first look exclusives that the boys have given us access to later in the programme. So make sure you stay tuned. That's enough of me waffling. I'm going to get into the complex, meet up with the man that founded it all and started it, Rob Hales himself. Rob, nice to see you again, mate. Thank you for letting us invade your premises for a period of time, mate. We're at the lovely Avenue Lodge, mate. I wanted to get a little bit of an overview of things. We're obviously going to go around and we're going to talk fishery management, we're going to talk bait, and you've given us access to some pretty exciting things that you've got going on. But where did this whole sort of fishery portfolio and everything start from?
Well, just one of those things. I was travelling too far to try and catch big carp. I was going down a harefield, and when Bob Baker was involved with Richworth, when Bob owned Richworth Baits, he kindly invited me down. He used to supply my bait, but it was too busy, it was too far, too many hours on the motorway. So I just thought I'd start my own fisheries, and I started with a small lake called Atwell Pool in Shropshire. Small syndicate on there, that did really well until we hadn't got a legal lease in place, and the farmer decided to get married, and his wife didn't want us on there, so that was the end of that one. And then we started on a professional basis with Acton Burnell back in 1993 or 94, I think, and we've moved on from there. I think we've got 9 fisheries in the portfolio now, and we've got quite a big setup with regards to fish farm and reservoirs where we grow fish.
Yeah, it is impressive, the scale of it now. From that starting point back then, the sort of, because you had a very good career sort of setup before this. I know from speaking to you, doing a podcast, all that stuff. You pretty much didn't need to get involved in fisheries apart from it's a bit of a passion project that's taken over. Is that a fair comment to say?
Yeah, it's just a hobby really. I've got 3 sons. My eldest son runs our family business. He's got no interest in fishing, although he likes sea fishing. My middle son Josh runs the bait factory now. He'll see fish, but he's not got much of an interest in fishing. And then along came the number 3, Harry, and he's obsessed with it like me. So we've developed it together, really. If Harry hadn't been so enthusiastic, I probably wouldn't have carried on developing the business. But it was started out as a hobby. It's become a full-time job. We work 7 days a week, really.
No, you've got some beautiful venues, and you've also got a mix of venues. We've got your day tickets, your monument complex, you've got your syndicates, you've got an open access element in there. You've also got some things coming around sort of exclusive bookings. That whole sort of progression, where did that come from? Because you could just lock them off, make them all syndicates, keep them all small. Was it a business decision? Was it a decision for you sort of morally to let as many people access your fisheries as possible? Where did that all sort of stem from?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my best pals are my members, so they're my good friends. So I wanted to try and make sure big carp fishing was affordable to everybody. So we started off with a monument complex as a day ticket complex. I like to think we priced it fairly and reasonable, provided excellent fishing value for money. So that was it really. I just wanted to make big carp fishing available to everybody, and all our fisheries, one way or another, are accessible to everybody, albeit some have got a waiting list, some have got holiday swims, which I know you're going to talk to Harry about. The only one that we've kept relatively exclusive is here at the Avenue, which is my sort of little bit of pride and joy really. It's in my own property ground, so we have to be a little bit more careful here. But we are going to be opening up hopefully a luxury double cabin swim on here next year, and that'll be available to everybody to book as well. So there is access to all our waters really, one way or another.
As a whole, your sort of spread, if you like, or options that you've got for an angler, what would you do? Somebody who's never seen RH Fisheries before, how would you sort of, I don't know, not pitch it to them, but how would you sort of, I don't know, almost sell it to them in a way? What would you say overall as an overview of your lakes? Because there's so much going on, isn't there?
Yeah, well, if they want a syndicate, we've got various levels of difficulty. Western's our easiest fishery. It's a ram full of carp. If you want to catch fish to £30, yeah, with the odd 40.
How many in Western?
Well, it's probably 650 fish in 12 acres. But the one that we've obviously brought onto the portfolio most recently to offer the experienced angler the chance of a 40 or the beginner a chance of half a dozen fish in a day is the Mirr. We've got 1,250 fish in there. It is 21 acres, but it has a big water exchange, so we can push the biomass of the fishery up. So we're going to go to 2,000 fish. We're going to put over 100 more in this year, and everyone we show on social media, so you know the anglers can see 100% that what we say is in there is in there. So I'd say start off on the Mirr. We offer a 3-day or 6-day ticket on the Mirr or the Monument Complex. And then when they've progressed and got confident, because we're all, like any industry, reliant on new people coming into the sport, whether it be young kids, people taking up carp fish in their 20s or 30s for the first time. That's the lifeblood of our business. We need all of us collectively to try and make sure we've got new people coming in into the sport. So I think we offer everything. We offer the entry level, and they're all very private, very secure, very, very stunning fisheries. So, you know, I say come to us and we'll chat to you, and we can offer all elements of carp fishing, really.
The actual overall fishing in terms of the monument, I think probably, especially in this area, like in terms of fish size, accessibility, like you just pointed out, it is sort of unparalleled. There has been in the past a fair bit of controversy, I'm going to say, surrounding it. I hark back to the capture of Big Rig and Mr. Doherty, and sort of death threats and British record claims and the madness that went on there. The sort of that stigma around maybe a certain faction of the carp community deeming them as wrong-uns and the fish stocks being not true and sort of almost discrediting it. How does that feel for you as somebody who's created it all, somebody who breeds the fish, somebody who's looked at bloodlines and brought in fish that are going to grow quick and sort of create dreams for people? How does that all feel or resonate?
I honestly couldn't care less. I think that if you're not getting that few people knocking you in life, you're not doing well enough. I always say to Harry, it's only the jealous side of the human nature. It's what it is. We do things well. We're very good at what we do. We've got an exceptional fish farm. We breed our fish. We don't even hatch them indoors. We hatch them outside naturally. We are going to start growing fish indoors, which we'll talk about shortly, to move the growth rates on a lot quicker, because, you know, I'm not getting any younger, 59 years of age, but I really don't care. I think that the anglers, when they part with their money, that's the thing that tells you the most, and we've never been busier.
Rob, we're at the scene of your new venture, mate. Talk to me about it. It looks exciting, but potentially a little bit controversial, I'd say, maybe for some people, but it's mega. What's going on?
Well, like I told you, I'm not getting any younger, and I want to get bigger fish quicker. So I can't claim to be the first person to have done this. There's a lad over on the East Coast called Nick Harvey. He's done this very successfully already, using biomass boilers to heat his water indoors.
Right.
So basically what you've got here is a giant 12,000 gallon tank. But the main thing is the water, it's not quite finished, as you can see. It's not, the polytunnel's not up yet, but it'll be indoors. There'll be an air source heat pump on it.
Right.
And the water temperature will be 32 degrees, 365 days a year. So to convert the protein into growth, that's the optimate temperature.
Okay.
And if you speak to the Japanese koi guys, 5 foot they seem to think is the ultimate depth. So that's what this is, 5 foot, 32 degrees of water. So it might sound quite unbelievable, but if all the counts are correct, to give you an example, we can put 20 of our young 20s in here, averaging £25.
Okay.
And in 12 months' time, we can get them out averaging £45.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So you put a 20 in here,
20 20s.
20 20s, you feed them, it keeps the temperature right so they absorb all the protein for 12 months.
Convert it all, yeah.
And they're 40 pounders the other side.
Good 40s in a year's time.
Oh,
yeah.
Mate.
Now we have to move them in the April, because what we do, we drop the water temperature a bit like with a thermostat on a house.
Yeah.
As nature's creating warmer temperature outside, we bring them back into line, 15, 16 degrees around April, and then we can stock the fish into our fisheries. But my sons are involved in this project with me, so we are going to sell about half a dozen 40s a year from April 26. But not only that, we can show you the exact fish a year earlier at £24, say.
Wow.
And then when you come to buy it a year later, we weigh it and we would expect it to be £42, £43 12 months later.
That is ridiculous. So you are going to sell a few. Obviously, financially, mate, it makes sense to sell a few as well, doesn't it? You're going to cost in terms of feeding, all this sort of resourcing to get this all set up, mate. The feed itself, is it your bait that's going in there?
Yes. Looking at the bottom at the moment, they've only been here a week, these fish, so they're settling in. They've nudged themselves on the net a little bit, but there's glass sides going in.
Okay.
The net will be right up here, so then they'll be able to jump and roll without any issues. But yeah, you've got down there some of our edge boilies, some of our cold press pellet, and some of our main aloe aqua feed pellets. So shortly we'll be able to do some tests on preference of baits, their reaction to baits, and things like that. But I mean, you love a bit of controversy, Hassan. So obviously, Big Rig created controversy, and we bred her. We grew her rather outdoors.
Did you?
Yeah. So you can imagine what we could achieve in here if we put a really young, long 50-pounder in here. There's a chance we could grow fish bigger than 70 in this system.
You've got Euro Aqua, haven't you, really, mate? Job's a good one.
Well, I wish.
It's pretty impressive, mate.
Yeah.
To grow that in a year, that growth rate, as you say, there's not a lot of other people doing it apart from maybe one more. It's it's quite frightening to think what could happen in a few years, mate, when this programme's up and running. But it is definitely something new that I've never seen before, and it's definitely something that's going to probably take fish size and the scale of this to maybe another level. So hats off to you, boys.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
You didn't mess about, do you? You're going to go for it hard. Cheers, Rob. Thanks for looking at it.
No worries.
Some mega fish in here already. Harry, your dad's referenced the avenue.
Yep.
And the fact that it's always been sort of syndicate, quite a closed shop, but you've got something new and exciting coming, which means that pretty much anyone will hopefully be able to access the mega fishing on here. What's going on?
Well, we are building a cabin on the avenue, which is going to be for week sessions at a time. It's going to have 2 beds, both en suites, and then an open plan kitchen and lounge area at the front, and it's literally going to be located 10 yards from your rod, so
unbelievable.
very ideal fishing.
In terms of that being built and it being open, when are you looking at sort of taking first bookings and people actually getting on fishing there?
July 2025 it will be open. So 2 anglers and 2 non-fishing guests if they want to bring someone.
Perfect. So that is kitted up. And the stock in the avenue at present, let alone when it's open and people can book on, what have you got?
At the moment we've got 2 fish over £64. They're the only 2 60s in here, but there are a few fish that are around 58, 59, so hopefully we'll have a couple new 50s in the new 60s in the near future. There's about another 12 to 14 50s. Again, there's a lot of fish around £48. We've already had 2 new 50s this season. It's only been open 2 months so far.
Wow.
So yeah, I think we'll be looking at 250 fish, 12 to 14 50s, 2 60s, and probably about 60 to 70 40s as well. So
there you have it. Pretty incredible facilities, incredible fishing, and in 2025 it could be anybody's dream come true to get on here and catch one of those whackers, mate. So that's pretty exciting. There's a fair bit of work to go in between now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
but knowing you boys, yeah, you'll be there.
Got to crack on. Yeah, get it done.
Nice one, mate. We'll go and look at the fish, shall we?
Yeah, we've got some exciting fish to show you, so yeah.
Come on, mate, I'm buzzing.
Let's go and have a go.
Harry, we're at some of the stock ponds that you've got going on. I wanted to talk to you about the fish. They're obviously infamous. We've talked a little bit or referenced some of the controversy around where they're from, their bloodlines, the lineage, if they're wrong uns or not. Primarily, first and foremost, the fish themselves, their sort of bloodline, where you got them from, the breeds that you've used, the things that you've sort of, I don't know, experimented with in terms of growth. Where does that all come from?
Well, it first started when my dad really started with Acton Burnell. When he had fish where he first purchased for they're sort of like French, Belgium sort of cross they are. And that's where we've gone on from them. That's sort of the super freak strain of fish.
Okay.
The Big Rigs was obviously an Israeli fish, but we are more going down the route of our super freaks again now.
What
They
are
seem
they
to be, they're the original sort of strain that we've got. So like the fish in the Avenue, Monument 1, the originals in Acton.
Are they Belgian French crosses?
Yeah,
Okay.
from years and years and years ago. But they're sort of like the best fish that we've ever come across, really. They're the best growing fish, really good length on them, and they sort of tend to live for the longest duration, really. We've got fish in Acton that are over 34 years, something like that, 34 years old. So yeah, they live a long time, they grow really well. Yeah.
So the reason for that growth rate, is it purely because of the actual sort of bloodline and the strain of carp, or is it because of the conditions that you've created here, or because of the feed you give them? Where's the trade-off between all that?
It's a mixture of everything, really. You could buy an amazing fish and try and grow an amazing fish, but in the wrong conditions, it's not going to grow.
Right.
So, I mean, we've got the best fish, and we grow them in the best conditions with the best food, so we get the most out of them, basically. I mean, we've got automated feeders on here that we'll probably take a look at in a second.
Yeah.
We've got constant air stones on there to keep the water mixing and to keep the oxygen mixing throughout the layers, and also got other aerators on timers, so it keeps the oxygen at the best it possibly can. We do have boreholes on site as well, so we have pure water going through all the pools, and we can control that ourselves. So yeah, we can monitor the water, turn the feeders on and off when we want, to keep the water at the best quality we can.
The feeders themselves, you've referenced it there, mate. We're going to have a look at them probably in depth in a short period of time, but they are actually a commercial point for you now where you sell them to other people. That they literally fire pellets out of an automated sort of unit and regularly feed the fish whatever they need. How can you monitor that? Can you change that? Is that all manually done, or how does that all work?
Yeah, you can change the feeders so that they can feed however many times. I think it's up to like 8-10 times a day.
Right.
And then you can also adjust how much feed goes in per feed and how long each feed is. So the best thing about it is a lot of people go to their pools, chuck in 5 kilo, but that 5 kilo is going to sit there until the fish sort of been feeding on it throughout the day.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not gone by the end of the day, but if you put a small amount in, the fish are going to be really competitive and eat that as quick as they can between them. Otherwise, if one of them goes and eats all of it, then that's all the feed gone between them. And then the next feed will come in, and again, they'll stay competitive throughout the whole day, so they're constantly feeding as hard as they can, instead of a load of bait going in and they just sit on it and just sort of eat it as and when they want.
Yeah, unbelievable. They are megabits of kit. I've seen them on a fair few venues in terms of, as you say, regulating that feed and creating that competition. Because what you want is for them to feed as much as possible to pack on weight and bulk. What have you got here? What have you got? Stock ponds, what have you got? This is clearly a bigger stock pond. You've got 2 little ones. In terms of the stock that has not gone into lakes, what is here? What are we looking at?
So at the moment, one of the pools down there, it's got a net over it. So we start with some of the smaller fish. They spawn in this pool here. We're sort of growing from 1-year-old, 2-year-old, then to 3-year-old, and then some 4s so that they spawn in there. And then we obviously repeat the cycle. And then when they're about 4-year-old, they go into here, and then that's when they're about 20 pound or more.
What's in there now?
At the moment, there's 250 fish in here. A lot of them are 20 pound plus. We've also got quite a few 40s in there. We've probably got about half a dozen 40s or more.
Right.
We've got probably 20 odd 30s or more, and we've also got a couple of real big ones that are over 50.
Over 50?
Yeah.
Right,
I want to be a bit bigger than 50 as well.
I could get one over that aerator quite easily. Mate.
Yeah.
Over 50?
Yeah, it's really exciting. When you see them in the summer, when they come around in the margins, stuff like that, or when we get some drone footage of them that I might sneak over to you.
Yeah.
It is pretty exciting when you watch them, because you can see the size difference between some of the smaller ones that are around 20 pound and ones that are about 50 pound plus. So
the big ones in there, am I right in thinking, I could be completely wrong, that you are going to put some real big ones in some of your venues this coming winter, are you?
Yeah, I think you'll be the first people to tell them. But yeah, Monument 1, we're going to put the biggest fish, whichever one that is out of them. There's a few real big ones in there.
These are the big ones? You're saying like north of 50 pounds?
Yeah, north of 50, probably closer to 60 pound, the one that will go into the Monument 1. So yeah, it'll be one of the biggest fish in a day ticket across the whole country, if not the biggest.
Yeah.
It's common as well, so yeah, we're looking forward to putting that in. Got big plans for Acton Burnell as well, and then we'll just kind of repeat the process every year. So every fish that, I mean, the 40s that are in here now, we'll stock some of them, and then next year there'll be like the 50s and the bigger fish to come for the year after. And with the tank, if we can put some of the 40s out of here, we can get them to mid 50s easy next year. So we can repeat the process now. We're at a stage where the 30s will come through the year after to become the 40s, and then we can get the process of 50s and maybe even bigger every single year after that. So it's an exciting future for us, and we're getting to the stage now where we're going to roll out big fish constantly.
I'm going to sort of stave off any temptation of putting a lead in there for a potential.
Trust me, it's been very hard.
Unbelievable, there's a 60 pounder in there. And yeah, mate, we'll go and take a look at some more stuff, shall we?
Yeah,
cheers,
go.
Mate.
Sound, see you in a bit.
After that fascinating insight into all things RH Fishery with Harry and Rob, I'm on their latest venue, I think it's their portfolio, the Mirr. I'm in peg 6, and I'm pretty much, don't know if you can hear that one crash, but I've pretty much seen fish in this water, short and long, but on the knowledge and wisdom of Harry, and who am I to question it? I'm fishing his Simply Red boilies, some of the cold pressed pellet, and I'm boating them across to the far side. It's clear, it's quite shallow. I'm fishing sort of the firmer spots, which the old RT7 is helping me indicate. And I'm going out there and just dropping enough for literally a mouthful or two. Crush boilie, that pellet, and I've got a little wafter, a Simply Red wafter on a slip D rig over the top of that. And hopefully that can nick me a bite. There's certainly activity. It certainly looks good for it. And I've probably got 12, maybe 16 hours before we're going to go back and look at some other stuff back at the monument. So fingers crossed, between that time, we can nick one. Either way, it's a stunning venue, and I'm looking forward to getting this last rod out into play. They're showing, let's hope they're feeding, eh? Well, it's happened. The rod's been out for, I think, an hour, maybe max. The left-hander, sort of under that tree canopy, quite tight in about 3 foot of water. There's been that much activity that it just had to happen, and it's gone. The old Simply Red wafter, matched the hatch style on that slip D rig, and we've got our first bite. He's doing his best to take out this other line at the moment. I'm trying to keep him up in the water. But it's lovely to be playing one, and what a beautiful backdrop to be playing one in. It is a stunning lake. There he is. He doesn't look like a big one, but he's the first bite, and I've only been here a matter of hours. Our first Mirr baby. There's the old wafter hanging out his chops. There he is. Mine getting. What a place, eh? An hour fishing. We've caught ourselves a lovely carp. Life is very, very good at RH Fisheries. Let's take a closer look at him, eh? How's that for an hour's worth of fishing? A lovely, clean, chunky RH Fishery Mirror. Who knows, with the potential of this venue, their feeding programme, this thing could grow into maybe a British record one day. I'm chuffed to get off the mark so early. The old match the hatch wafter over some pellet and Simply Red boilie. We've got our first bite, and that's what the Mirr's all about, bites. There's big uns in here as well. Let's hope, with a few more hours left tonight as well, we can nick another. But either way, you can't argue with that, can you? End of day's filming, get your rods out. You got one already. Life is all good. And if you're enjoying this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon. That way, you'll be able to see when we upload a new video. How's that for a start, eh? Well, an hour later, I was answering the old call of nature, wasn't I? And whilst in the toilet, which is beautifully clean, I can highly recommend them here at the Mirr, the middle rod's now gone, which means I've had a bite off both of the spots that I have chosen to fish, which is brilliant. Thankfully, Bob was in the swim, so he picked up the rod for me. We're playing number 2. This one feels a little bit better. He's kited right like the last one did, because it's quite shallow in close. They just run, which is brilliant, but it does mean that, luckily it's only 2 rods and not 3. They do cover a bit of water when they get their heads down. This one feels slightly better than the last one. And fingers crossed, in the few hours we've had the rods out, I did say they were active early doors, we've had 2 bites. Same rig, same hook bait, same combination of bait over the top. Conditions look good for it as well. There's a little bit of rain, pressure's dropped a little. And he's hanging on. Oh, he's a lovely linear, that. That is a stunning looking carp, that is. Hey, you'd be happy with that from anywhere. He's an absolute corker. Look at him. Solid, full of scales. Beautiful. Thanks, mate. How is that for bite number 2 in the same amount of hours on the Mirr? This one off my other rod, so both spots have now done a bite. We're going into the evening, bodes very well. Fingers crossed, if we don't get another through the night, we can nick another one in the morning. But that one is an absolute perler. Lovely broken line, clean as a whistle, and just solid. As the fight indicated, it kited right. I managed to bring it back round. And I'm a very, very happy angler. A busy day interviewing. I've managed to nick a couple before dark as well. We'll get the rods back out. Hopefully, you'll see me again with another Mirr stunner like this one. Look at that for a fish, eh? Quality. Good morning. Last night was absolutely perfect. No action, plenty of sleep. I'm very well rested. What I think has happened over the course of the evening, they weren't as active for sure, but I think that bait that I've put out, because I was literally fishing for a bite at a time, I think they've cleared me out. So what I'm doing now, as it's got to sort of 8 AM, we've probably got a couple of hours left, is I'm just repositioning, redeploying a bit of fresh bait back on those same spots as yesterday, in the hope that I can tempt one more before heading back to the Monument Complex to meet up with Harry. So fingers crossed, I'm going to stick to the same spots, put a bit of fresh bait out there, because as I said, I think I've been cleared out by them. I have put a little hinge on this one as well, just to change the presentation. Not that the other presentations didn't work, but I think maybe a pop-up being a bit more blatant, who knows, could spark something. Still match the hatch with that simply red bait and a few pellets. And just maybe we can end with one this morning after two last night. Either way, it's been a glorious sunrise and a beautiful start to the day.
Oh, that's the one.
In classic Hassan style, we've probably got 15 minutes before we need to go and meet Harry at the monument to do something very interesting involving boats and spades. And I took my left-hand rod out, didn't think there'd be any more action, and as I was packing that away, my right-hand rod, or my middle rod, that was fished to the same spot that did me a bite yesterday, has gone. So it could be a lovely way to round off a very quick session on the Mirr with a few bites. Fingers crossed we can negotiate that little bit of weed out there and get him in. But I didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest. The morning is, I don't know, what are we at? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that. Thought bite time was well and truly over. Had to go. And maybe, just maybe, the Mirr has got a fairy tale send-off for me. One for the future. It's bite time. Thank you very much, mate. Well, here is my little send-off. I have a very unique talent in my angling. Regardless of how many big uns are in the water, and there are a lot of them in here, I can single out the smallest carp that a venue has. I know, it's a gift and a curse. Mini Carp is my new series. It's one from the Mirr. I think he must have grown on in here himself, and he's definitely one for the future. Again, by the old strainer carp in here and the baiting programme, who knows what potential this one could reach. Could be a named one, a real big one in the future. I'm going to slip him back, get everything packed away, double quick time, get over to the monument where Harry is going to give us a bit of a display of maybe how to feed these up and make them a bit bigger, eh? Let's slip him back. He's beautiful though, isn't he? There's a reason that there are two men stood in a car park outside a busy bait factory door. The boys are rolling bait in there, mate, and we're going to talk about RH baits. It has absolutely boomed, mate. The last time I saw you was a long time ago, and this, I think, had just been put up as a shell, and what is in there today is mad. But the primary sort of source of it all was you guys deciding to sort of create your own bait for the anglers as well as feeding the fish. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. The main thing was, well, we started off in probably 2 or 3 small shipping containers I think you saw back then. Yeah. And it was probably about 2015, something like that, going down to Newport, which is probably about 15 minutes down the road, going to the chicken farmer, buying 120 eggs, coming back and cracking them in a little bowl and mixing them up. And yeah, it's developed massively since then. But I mean, the way that we develop the bait is for the fish, not for the anglers more so, really. Right. And I think that's why they're doing so well, because lads are going out and catching on them and just gaining that confidence with it, really. But yeah, I'd say in 2015, something like that, Monument 1, which is just over behind us, we had a bit of an issue with ammonia, which was mainly from rotting bait, which was on the bottom that the fish hadn't eaten. So we drained it completely dry, and probably when the lake was about 2-3 foot deep, as we're trying to net the fish out, there was a lot of rotten bait on the bottom, and there must have been about 100 swans on there eating the bait, and that's, you know, they ate the majority of it before we even got to see it ourselves.
That much bait?
Yeah, it was littered all over the bottom, but yeah, and since then we developed our own bait. We've got 4 baits in the range at RH Baits, and yeah, whenever, it's rarely that it ever happens, but we've always tried it on our stock ponds, where we've got fish too small, really, like 1 pound, and chuck 18 millers in and see how long it is until the bait comes up, and it's normally about 4 days.
And bait-wise, was it a mix of rotting shelf life? Was it shelf life bait freezer? What was it?
Yeah, it was shelf life bait, and when you open it up, it's just stank, really, and some of it hadn't even changed. So yeah, shelf life, and it was mainly boilies. I mean, all other seeds and particles and nuts, they always just sort of break down and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just shelf life boilie that was the sole issue like behind the whole thing, really.
Then you started obviously producing your own bait, and we'll talk more about the actual production, the types of bait you do. But essentially, there was a key point. I remember seeing it again on social media, and I don't want to hark back all the way to negativity, but I remember it getting a bit of sort of negative attention where you guys said, I think initially it was just the day ticket waters that you had to use this bait.
Yeah.
And then I think you, over time, am I right in saying, brought it in over the course of the other venues?
Yeah, no, definitely true. Our Monument 1 and 2, we started it here. And then, I say, we had a little bit of an initial reaction to it, but over the years, you know, we've seen the fish go from, so in both the lakes there's 140, and that was Richie that fluctuated between 42 and 38. In both the Monument Complex lakes now, we've got 26 40s, 2 different 50s, and they're exactly the same fish. We haven't added to the 40s or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're the exact same fish that we had back then before the bait change. And you know, they're not young fish. The ones in Monument 1 now, the originals, they're probably 30 years old, 28, 30 years old. So, you know, they're probably long gone their growing years.
Yeah.
But with the introduction of the bait, you know, the health of the fish, the skin condition of them, and just less mortalities that I touched on earlier at the fish farm, it's just been the most dramatic change I've ever known anything, to be honest.
And in terms of the actual baits themselves, you do a fair spectrum of bait, don't you? You go from sort of English toffee and a few more, don't you? Talk me through them.
Yeah, so we've got the old English toffee, which is only birdseed based mix out the whole range, and then we've got 3 fish meals, which is Simply Red, Wicked Tuna and the Edge. But each of them have their own sort of edge on different waters. My personal preference is Simply Red and Wicked Tuna mixed together. Don't know why, but I seem they just complement each other really well. But yeah, I mean, at the moment we're rolling about 3 tonne a week, so obviously it's a very seasonal business, so you can't tell how much is going out per week. But yeah, at the moment we're rolling about 3 tonne a week, and what we do is it's changed over literally constantly. So we never roll stock that's going to be sat in the freezer for more than a month. I mean, they've rolled 1.5 tonnes in there today, and then that'll be going out over the next sort of 2 weeks, and then that'll be rolled again. And
the other thing, and I think we've all seen it maybe on social media, is you're not scared to, especially on Wednesdays where there's no fishing on it or on the avenue, you're not scared to stove it in and give them some iron.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, we haven't fed these lakes since COVID.
Right.
Mainly because obviously we've got 99 anglers coming on a week. Say if they buy an average of 1 kilo, 2 kilo per person, which is what people use, we've probably got over 100 kilo boilie going in a week. So that's sort of like enough really for the lakes. If they could probably grow a little bit more and a little bit better, especially after spawning and times like that, when they could do that little supplement feed. But with the antibiotics and stuff like that we do put in the bait, then it's sort of enough for them just to carry on, and we don't want to overfeed them, and we want to get the anglers best chance of catching them. Whereas the avenue, we do like to put the bait in. It is the one where we've got 50s, 60s in there. You know, the aim is to grow the fish big in there. It's very different to what we've got on all the other lakes. So yeah, we do supplement feed that a little bit, but yeah, there's a reason behind that.
But as a sort of an addition to the fishery business, and sort of it all working within itself, from the fish farm through to the bait, through to the fish, you can clearly see it's working in a very good chain, very good business, but also very beneficial in terms of for the angler who are going to come and catch stuff, and also for the fish in all the lakes, mate. It's been mega to see its development, especially this side of stuff, in such a short period of time. Cheers, mate. Now we're back at the Monument Complex. We are going to go and give the fish some serious grub, but before that, here's a little competition for you. How would you like to win 10 kilos of RH bait, Simply Red boilies, and a session on the Mirr? In order to win that, what you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel and in the comments below, answer this question. What was the peak weight of the infamous big rig caught from the Avenue? Put your answer in the comments, make sure you subscribe, and we'll pick a winner at random. Good luck. Mate, look at the guns on him. Right, let's get them in. Let's go feed these fish, boy. Go on. That is heavy, that, and warm. That's not going up there, Harry, mate. Not on my own. How much in that?
It's probably about
80?
60, 70, something
80 kilo in there, I reckon. Harry, where are we? And how many carp are under this little beautiful bit of surface water here, mate? What we got?
Well, we're currently on the fish farm. We're on the biggest pool that we've got. We've got a lot of big fish in here as well, but we've got 250 fish, and we've probably got about 200 C4s in here that will be currently up to about 18 to 19 pound, going 20s in November. So yeah, and there's a lot of big ones as well.
When you say big
40s, 50s, potentially a 60 pounder.
Nice.
So yeah,
mate.
This is what they're fed on as well.
What are we giving them today? How much of each? There's a fair bit of stuff in there,
we've
isn't there?
got 120 kilo of maize, we've got 60 kilo boilie, 50 kilo pellet, and yeah, this is just a little Scooby snack for them for the next few days.
What, you got Old English toffee?
Yeah.
Lovely, and some maize. Should we get it in, mate?
Let's get going.
I'm going to put a rod on this afterwards, mate. How long do you give it? Do you just tip it in?
Go on.
I've never, mate. That is incredible. How often do you do this, Harry?
Once a week, probably.
Once a week?
Yeah, and then they're also on automatic feeders as well, with pellet as well.
I don't think I've fed enough on them there, mate.
Nearly.
Rob, Harry,
Cheers,
a
Hassan.
massive thank you, boys.
No worries.
Not only for a lovely night on the Mirr, but also for sort of opening my eyes to everything that's going on. You've got some massive projects in the pipeline, and as a whole, fishery, bait, the works, it is massively impressive, boys. So yeah, big ups and very, very, very well done. I look forward to seeing what it's got in the future, mate. Lots going on.
Pleasure having you, mate.
Anytime, coming back, definitely.
We've
Even
had
if
the
you don't
best
want
of
me.
the weather, it's turned on us now, so.
Well, we'll get out of there. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back soon with another episode, and until then, make sure you follow these guys on social media. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We'll see you again soon.